I have a very simple question. I want both of your answer to this. Who's the best team out of that group of four? Who's the one team you would take come March when it matters most? Gonzaga, UCLA, Arizona, or St. Mary's? Tyler, let's go to you first.
UCLA, and I like Mick Cronin. I think they've had deep runs. 2 years ago, I think Final Four. Last year, Elite Eight. I like their players. I think they play tough. They're big, defensive mindset. So I got to go with UCLA.
Yeah,
RC?
I agree. I don't know how do you not go with UCLA. I mean, there's experience here. There's deep tournament run experience here. They seem to be getting healthy at the right time, getting everybody back. I just like their team with Clark and Singleton. We talked about the guard play. We always know what about Tiger Campbell and those guys. I think their depth. The biggest thing is they got a defensive mindset. So no matter who doesn't play well offensively, they're gonna lock up and play physical, and get after you defensively. So they're a team that I think that wouldn't surprise me at all if they end up in Houston.
How far off is Arizona for both of you from UCLA? Is there like a clear separation between those two teams?
If, like we've talked about, their bigs, I could see them getting pulled out against a team that runs a lot, make them guard on the perimeter. We talked about that with Purdue earlier, but that's only concern. But no, I don't think Arizona's too far off. I think they're capable of a deep run. I actually like Arizona a lot.
I like them. I just think they're a step. They're a step below. If I had to pick, like I said, my preference would be UCLA. Arizona they're going to score. They're good. I mean, they play a unique style in a sense, playing with the traditional two bigs. We've talked about that in nausea about that. I mean, when you get in small ball lineups, that's a problem. But their bigs are damn good, and they're going to be a tough ass out.
So here's what scares me about UCLA relative to Arizona. I think we've seen Arizona rise up in the best games they've played this season. I mean, you look at their losses at Utah, at Oregon, home to Washington State, at Stanford. None of those are good losses. I'm not saying that's a good thing to have those losses, but you look at their wins, man. San Diego State and Creighton on a neutral, Tennessee, UCLA. Like, they have beaten some great teams this year. You flip to UCLA. As of right now, UCLA has beaten two teams this season that are firmly in the NCAA tournament. Maryland, that win was great. They went to Maryland and absolutely stomped them. And then Kentucky on a neutral floor. A couple weeks ago, we weren't sure Kentucky was in the tournament. Does that scare you at all, RC, that like we just really haven't seen UCLA beat the elites yet this year?
They struggled early. Right. I mean, they came out, they struggled early in the year. And so we know what their identity is. Let's say that. We know the head coach, and we know what their identity is. And that's what we're banking on. That's what we're talking about when you talk about certain coaches. You know their identity. They've responded since then. They've won 6 straight. Some of that is, again, what's hurt the conference when people talk about it. They consider the Pac-12 as not necessarily strong. I know USC is a team that was right there in that group of, who's right there on the bubble as well. And so I just like what they have. They got guys that they're tough, they defend, they're battle tested. I just think when it comes all said and done, they'll be right there in the end.
Okay. I really want to see them get that last game of the season. They host Arizona. Right now, UCLA has a 2-game lead on the Pac-12 regular season race. It may or may not matter at that point if they can win out up until then. They've already had it clinched, but I'd really like to see them just beat a team that I can tell is going to be a team that could make a Final Four. I think that would matter and build some momentum for them. All right, if we remove UCLA and Arizona from that conversation, let's just look at Gonzaga and St. Mary's. This is the first year in a very long time where Gonzaga has not led this conference from wire to wire. Right now, they are a game back of the Gales. Which one of these two teams are you taking in March? Same question, but flip it. St. Mary's or Gonzaga? RC, what's your answer?
I'm only going to say Gonzaga because of Drew Timme. Only because Drew Timme. I want to say St. Mary so bad, but I really do. But because of Drew Timme is why that's the only reason why I'm leaning toward Gonzaga. I'd be lying if I said anything different.
Tyler, that's a pretty good answer. Can I offer you some Aiden Mahaney as a counterpoint?
No, I'm going Gonzaga. I like Drew Timmy too much. Old school big man. He's got great moves. I also like Mark Few a lot, and that's not a knock on St. Mary's, but they do have 2 quad 3 losses, and I know they don't play in the toughest conference, and I can't figure the quad system out either, but that says something.
Yeah, you're right. It does. Must watch television, right, for that final game of the regular season when St. Mary's has to go at Gonzaga with a share of that conference title on the line for the first time in a very, very long time. I think you can make an argument. It might be a stupid argument, RC, and Lord knows I make a lot of stupid arguments, but I think you can make an argument that this Gonzaga team, not being the consensus number 1 overall seed heading into the NCAA tournament, might free some things up for them a little bit, just from a pressure standpoint. This is the first time in Drew Timmy's really his whole career. He's not coming in like with all these expectations of winning a national title per se this year. It would be something if this Gonzaga team with a great coach, with a lot of talent, was the team that actually did get back to that national championship game like they did a couple years ago.